What's going on, everybody? Welcome into On3 Sports. I'm your host, Nick Kosko. With me today to talk some college football and the AFCA All-State Good Works team is former Texas linebacker and current ESPN analyst Sam Acho. Sacho, great to have you. Great to talk to you this morning. Just first, to tell us a little bit about your work with the Good Works team. I've previously talked to Tim Tebow. I love what you guys are really doing with this entire team year to year. Just a little bit about your involvement.
So my involvement is manyfold. I think the first involvement comes with when I was playing linebacker at the University of Texas and getting a chance to not only win the All-State Warfel Trophy, which is the premier award when it comes to community service, but also to be on the All-State AFCA Good Works team, which is the premier team that comes to community service. Well, now this year, and the reason I got a chance to win that award is not just on the field excellence, but off the field excellence. Back when I was playing, my family and I, we would go to Nigeria and do medical mission work and help. We bring doctors, nurses, surgeons, dentists, ophthalmologists. Actually started a hospital there. Actually wrote a book about some of that work, about like the community service. But it wasn't just overseas, it was also locally. We'd go to hospitals and visit kids. And so those are the things that people don't see that athletes do that matter. Well, fast forward after getting a chance to be on the All-State Good Works team, All-State AFCA Good Works team, and win that award. Now I get a chance to be an ambassador for the All-State AFCA Good Works team. And what does that mean? That means that now I get a chance to highlight right now the 22 student athletes who are doing amazing work in their communities. There's 22 student athletes and one head coach who are part of the All-State AFCA Good Works team. Guys like Gavin Sawchuk, who's a running back for the University of Oklahoma. And Gavin actually spent his spring break in Hawaii helping people who were affected by the Maui wildfires. So he was serving, helping clean with football fields and helping just serve the community. He also does stuff locally in Oklahoma as well. I think about guys like Malachi Starks, who's a Georgia defensive back. Georgia's one of the best teams in the nation, yet this dude spends so much of his time holding football camps for at-risk youth in Atlanta. I think about guys like Hayden Connor, who's an offensive lineman at Texas, who has this organization called Pause for a Cause that essentially helps animals that are in animal shelters, trying to help them have better homes and better lives. And so many players are doing amazing work. And so now the All-State AFCA Good Works team has partnered with the Warfel Foundation to now shine so much more light on these players. And so it's been selected from 178 players now down to 22. And then you can actually vote. Go to ESPN.com, ESPN.com/Allstate. You can actually vote. Any fan can vote for who they want to be the All-State AFCA Good Works team captain, which will also be the All-State Warfel Trophy winner.
I'd love to hear that. And again, just to hearing about all the off the field deeds. All these players they're so great on the field. We saw it this past Saturday, and we're going to see it again in weeks to come. But it's great to hear what they do off the field as well, and to be honored for their charitable endeavors. So, speaking of Malachi Starks and Georgia, I mean, again, Alabama, Georgia. That's where we'll start. Best game of the year so far, it seems like. Alabama gets the win. They're number one in the AP poll right now. Just your instant takeaways from that game where it looked like Alabama was just going to boat race Georgia. They come all the way back, and then Ryan Williams having for Alabama. What were some of your instant takeaways from Alabama, Georgia this weekend?
My first takeaway was the passion from the players on Alabama. So I was at that game. I was in the locker room, on the sideline, in the tunnel, all of it. And these players were dialed in. I was on the field. Like, these guys were dialed in from start to finish. That was probably the most impressive part for me. They were dialed in. They showed that early on in the game. The second thing that stood out was the fact that Georgia is not going to bow down. Like, Georgia is a prideful program. And we saw that on display. Though you had a 28-0 lead or maybe 28-3. I don't remember I know it was 28-7 at a time, but Georgia was not going to quit. And so it was impressive to me how Georgia came back, but then the wherewithal, the resilience. You talked about that Ryan Williams catch in the fourth quarter, to not only the acrobatic catch, but also the touchdown down the sideline. And then the interception by another freshman by Alabama, just the resilience to be able to kind of take a blow and blow back and take another blow and give another blow back. That was impressive from Alabama.
I got to imagine, just one more on this game, these two teams have to see each other. I know we're going to talk about Texas in a second, but it just seems like these two teams are destined to see each other again, whether it's SEC championship or there's somehow a playoff crossover, because when I look at those two teams and Texas, you're looking at maybe the three best teams in college football. I know Ohio State fans might have something to say about that as well, but what do we see this again? I mean, are these two teams on a collision course again when it comes down to the winter time in the season?
I'm not sure. That's the difference this year. So this year there's a new college football expanded playoff. So there's 12 teams, and you talked about it. Yeah, we might see one of these teams, both these teams, in the playoff. But two things. Number one, there's those bye weeks for the conference champions, 1-4. But also number two, you talked about Texas. Texas plays Georgia in a few weeks. And if Georgia has 2 losses, maybe they make the playoff and they're a lower ranked team. But who you have to go through to meet up again. So you talked about Texas being one of those top teams. Ohio State, people aren't talking enough about, but they're a dominant team offensively and defensively. And so when you talk about those 4 teams right there, maybe we end up seeing some of the matchups, or maybe we don't.
When you talk about Texas, Arch Manning's the story right now. Quinn Ewers on the mend, but he could be back for Red River. And I think that's what it seems like it's going to be trending towards, considering they have the bye week before they play Oklahoma. Again, all about Red River from your playing days at Texas. And I've asked multiple people, and it seems like the general consensus is with Arch Manning, he's not going to take over this job when Quinn Ewers is healthy. Do you lean that way as well?
Oh, 100%. This is Quinn Ewers' team. You even saw it a few weeks ago when Quinn Ewers was out, and he was still rallying the guys, making sure everybody was ready to play. Quinn Ewers has proven that he can play at a high level, and Arch is showing it early and often. But this team is still Quinn Ewers. I don't think has done anything to show that he's not deserving of the starting spot. Not only that he can't take this team to not only the college football playoff, but potentially a championship.
So we'll see how that plays in a couple of weeks. And, of course, you mentioned Texas, Georgia. I think everybody's looking forward to that, the first SEC matchup between those two teams. I'll pivot towards the Big Ten, as we already alluded to, Ohio State. Now, Michigan got a win. Now, they almost let that one slip against Minnesota. Ohio State, Oregon, consider the 2 best teams in the Big Ten. Michigan just keeps winning now somehow, some way, despite having the lack of a passing game. Maybe people aren't talking about Penn State enough. But when you look at Michigan and Penn State trying to compete with Ohio State and Oregon, do you think those teams could eventually rise up to the occasion later this year, or is it still pretty much it's Ohio State, Oregon in the Big Ten this year?
Well, I think it's Ohio State first, and then you start going down. Oregon has struggled early this season. Yes, they found ways to win, but early on, it's been they've kind of been crawling by. Michigan, to your point, big loss against Texas, make a quarterback change, but though it's not pretty, they're still finding ways to win. But will that be enough when you play in Ohio State? Those are the questions that I have. And then Penn State, to me, to your point, is the game changer, because their offense is clicking now. Penn State, they have a new offensive coordinator named Andy Kotelnicki. He was at Buffalo and with Lance Leipold, and Kansas with Lance Leipold, and he's done an outstanding job. They're one of the most explosive offenses, at least when they were there in Kansas and Buffalo, and even now they're having a lot more explosive plays in college football. So Penn State, I think, is a team that you talk about beating Ohio State might be tough, but talking about getting to the playoff and maybe finding Drew Aller's maturity as he continues to grow, I think that could be a great opportunity for Penn State. And I think still Ohio State is still top tier, and then it goes under that.
One more on Ohio State, and actually relates back to the SEC a little bit, because after this weekend, people are just like, well, it's Jeremiah Smith, it's Ryan Williams. Those guys are just unbelievable as true freshmen. How are these guys this good already?
I think sometimes it's like the level of expertise and excellence that comes from being in high school, right? At the receiver position, you work with trainers, you work with quarterbacks, and all of a sudden you are ready early. So I think the success at the receiver position has been outstanding, and it's been impressive.
I wanted to switch gears to Clemson real quick. And again, Sam Acho with me here on On3 Sports. A couple more before you go, Sam. When you look at Clemson rising back to the occasion, I don't know if they're playing top-tier football yet, but they've won 3 in a row here after losing to Georgia in that opening game. Is Clemson kind of back, or do we still have that wait-and-see approach?
I don't think it's a wait and see, but I think that offensively, Clemson's been like Cade Klubnik has been the story, and Phil Maffa as well. Now, that loss to Georgia, people talk about it. Oh, man, they're out of the picture. They need to get back to the transfer portal. But sometimes, like, you look at how Georgia played, Georgia's one of the best teams. And now fast forward, Clemson says, okay, we're going to find our identity with our quarterback, with our running game. I mean, for a 2-week stretch, Cade Klubnik, I think it was 11 touchdowns, over 660 yards. I mean, this offense started to click. The defense is going to be great at Clemson, but now the offense is clicking. That's been the most impressive part for me.
I'll leave you here with this one. And also for those watching and listening, make sure to go to ESPN.com/Allstate to check out the Good Works team. Vote on the team captain, as Sam alluded to earlier. Great off-the-field cherries from all these players across college football. Got to ask you this, because he got a lot of buzz. Travis Hunter, is he the Heisman frontrunner? Can he win the Heisman this year? He's so fun to watch.
He's so much fun to watch. I think he can win it this year, and I would say he probably is the front runner. Travis Hunter's doing it on both sides of the ball. He plays offense. He plays defense. Got an interception last week, scored a touchdown. That's what he does. And so if there's anyone who could win the Heisman as a two-way player, as a defensive star, it's Travis Hunter. Now, there could be something to be said about maybe some of the quarterbacks who are going to try and compete with him for the Heisman. But as of now, I mean, a few weeks in, not even halfway through the season, Travis Hunter, for me, is the front runner. I'm trying to think of who else. I mean, Jalen Milroe's up there as well. Yeah, I wouldn't say front runner. Let's let the season go on, right? Colorado's winning, and if you want to win a Heisman, you got to win, right? So if Colorado continues to win, right, they beat UCF. A lot of people didn't expect them. They continue to win. That Hail Mary, that forced fumble, right? If Colorado continues to win, and Travis Hunter continues to dominate on both sides. Remember, he was doing it last year, and he got injured. There was conversation about him being the Heisman last year that he got injured. And so, like, if he stays healthy and Colorado continues to win, let's say Colorado competes for a Big 12 championship game, and he's the reason why, of course, Heisman conversation should be around done before then. But I think there's definitely opportunity between Jalen Milroe. I'm not sure who else I'm missing right now, but those are the two first names that come to mind when I talk about Heisman right now.
Yeah, it seems like, as you mentioned, if they just keep winning and they have a little bit more, okay, this is not just a two-man show, it's a total team effort, and he's the leader, he might end up going to New York and end up winning that Heisman. Sam Acho, ESPN, of course, former Texas linebacker. Be sure to go to ESPN.com/Allstate. Vote on the Good Works team. Vote for the Good Works team captain. Sam, I appreciate your time, man. Hope we talk again down the line soon, and enjoy the rest of the college football season.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks for your time.